For anyone watching this that has a BTP account and is a global admin, I would encourage them to log in as we're talking to check this out, but check how many global administrators you have. In BTP, a global admin, especially for the consumption-based agreement types, is somebody who has the right to spend money. They have full control. Think of a global admin as like a super user in BTP. So you don't want too many people. When I go and work with customers and my team, if we see more than 10, we're going to ask you about it and make sure everyone should be here. And I would say 90+% of the time when we ask them, they're like, no, they're not here anymore. This isn't right. It becomes a security concern.
Thank you so much for joining another edition of the Never Ending Climb for Stronger Supply Chain and Procurement Companies by SAP. Today we've got Liz joining us. Liz is the global leader for BTP onboarding. So that's the business technology platform, and that's the thing that people use to extend and wire things together, etc. So when somebody as a company has bought BTP, the first group that you want to talk to is somebody in Liz's team. So Liz, thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me.
So what I love about this is this shift about, adoption, and it's not just like, hey, here's a big no materials, buy it, good luck, buy. It's now, hey, they bought it, and now there's whole teams at SAP that are there to help you get more out of it.
Absolutely.
And that's part of what you do.
That is. Yes.
Amazing. So when somebody is just getting started with BTP, there's so many choices involved. And sometimes if one group decided that they bought it and now another group in the team was like, hey, we got to turn it on, now what? What does that usually look like and feel like for you, Liz?
Yeah, and it depends. I see customers come from all different places with their BTP adoption. Some of them are coming net new. They haven't done anything. Those are my favorite because you have a clean slate to design everything how you want. Some of them, to your point, may have had some older services that they're using and now a new team's coming. Maybe they're on a RISE implementation, but they're still living in the same BTP account. And what my team focuses on is making sure that you have the skills to properly set up your BTP account with intent. That's my number one thing for today is do it intentionally. Know what you're doing.
Intentionality. I think that's a great way to get into how things fit in the landscape, right? But what is it? What do I do with it? There's a couple of top use cases around, say, integration and helping keep the core clean.
Yeah.
Can you share a little bit more about what that usually looks like for folks when they just getting started?
Yeah, I usually tell them the best run businesses set it up where they have their BTP. Look at it like you have a team that's set out to govern it, right? A COE, if you will, a team that manages the overarching platform. And then as these projects come in, that's the best way to set it up. It's probably project-based. We have an integration use case or project. We have a keep the core clean project. And then think about who are the people that need to be assigned to these projects, and then you slot them in within those sub-accounts or directories that you're using to organize it.
That organization, that sort of concept of a COE, that governance is so critical.
It is.
When we're talking about governance, there's lots of different ways to describe best practices and good ideas to do it. Sometimes the simplest way to help people get started is to remind them of maybe 2 or 3 things of, yeah, don't do that.
Right.
What are the top few things that come to mind for you when you're thinking about, yeah, don't do that?
Okay, so number one, and for anyone watching this that has a BTP account and is a global admin, I would encourage them to log in as we're talking to check this out, but check how many global administrators you have. In BTP, a global admin, especially for the consumption-based agreement types, is somebody who has the right to spend money. They have full control. Think of a global admin as like a super user in BTP. So you don't want too many people. When I go and work with customers and my team, if we see more than 10, we're going to ask you about it and make sure everyone should be here. And I would say 90+% of the time when we ask them, they're like, no, they're not here anymore. This isn't right. It becomes a security concern. Always have that integrity on who your global admins are. So that's my number one thing would be
Number one, don't have too many tricks in the kitchen.
Don't have too many cooks in the kitchen. Exactly. Think of
That's
it that
amazing.
way.
What would you say is the second most common? Yeah, I don't do that with BCB.
Do not set up, unless you have a really good reason, and I'm always open to learning more, but do not set up a sub account for every single service that you're doing. Think of it like, I always think of BTP in the simplest form as like a house. Think of your orchestrating BTP like you're building up a house. And the global account is the frame of your house. Sub accounts are the rooms, and directories are the floors. So you have to think, are you building a house? Are you building a hotel? But every room you put up, you have to manage. So you really probably don't want 500 rooms. If you're a smaller company and you're doing integration and an extensibility use case, for example, and you have the same IT team doing both, like it might make sense to run it all in a 3-tier landscape. It might. It would be worth the conversation to see. So to summarize that long point, I would say do not have a sub account for every single thing. Where you can optimize it and put things together where it makes sense, I think I would encourage you to do that.
That's awesome. I think the analogy that comes to mind for me out of that is folks that imagine having a 10-bedroom, 5-bathroom house, but by the time they do that, they don't have the budget to hire somebody who can play it, and then they're cleaning them all
Exactly.
themselves.
That's exactly it. And you're not cleaning them all. That's what's going to happen. The bathroom in the basement, you're not going to get to, right? Let's be honest. And that's what you don't want is you're architecting out your enterprise. You want to make sure that everything is clean. That's one of the lessons we learned when we got to the cloud, right? Keep it all clean, like as clean as we can. And that goes back to me. Everything has an intention and a purpose.
I love it. What would you think about as your number 3? Yeah, don't do that with BCP. Does it have something with security?
It does, Sean. How did you know? Yeah, security is such a big topic. So SAP has an answer to cloud identity, right? And achieving single sign-on. When you look at BTP and the role that it plays in your enterprise, it is quite literally the glue that holds it together. We have all these applications that serve a purpose. Procurement, we have success factors for HR, we have our core ERP. To connect it all together is how you achieve that end-to-end business integrity of what you're running with your enterprise. And that's what BTP offers. And to do that, you should really only have probably one cloud identity tenant that is taking your employees through. So I would encourage everyone to, if you haven't in a while, go take a peek. We have easy resources out there for you to easily see how many identity tenants you have in your landscape. And if you have more than a few, I would recommend that you start to put together a strategy to consolidate. Again, we're just trying to simplify it, right? Have this one global account, this cloud identity tenant to optimize your operations.
Yep. Hard to run simple when you're getting passed around past 7 different people, whether you're allowed in.
Yes.
So some of the best run BTP teams, organizations with BTP, their governance.
Mm-hmm.
There's a key ingredient there. And it comes from that sense of emotional maturity.
Yes.
And staying in your own lane, knowing when to lead, knowing when to manage, knowing when to get your hands in there.
Yes.
I think that intentionality comes out of keeping things at a higher level. I'd love for you to break that down for teams that are trying to give up the meh for good and not let the perfect stand in the way of the good for what a COE would look like. Can you ignite that for us?
I can. I would love to. I think it's important that we all are confident in the strengths that we bring. There's so much to do out there today, especially in IT. It's constantly evolving, that we really need people who are application developers, who are integration specialists. And then we have people who are able to govern things at a more holistic level. And for a COE of a platform, you said it perfect, taking away the emotion. When you work on a project, they become your babies. You become so invested in the success of them. And not to say that everyone working on it isn't invested in the success of the project, but if I'm building out a flow, I really care that my flow is not going to break, that I have everything together, my certificates are up to date, everything end to end about it. But as somebody managing the overall cockpit, I care that we're not spending money unexpectedly. So it's really understanding the roles that each part has in contributing to the overall success of your projects. And for what I focus on in onboarding and that governance, not being emotionally tied to the details of the projects tends to work best.
Yeah, because that sense, especially hard for folks that are coming from a technical environment where it needed to be darn near perfect.
Right.
When they're in a governance role, they need to leave enough latitude for the individual teams to be able to move through so that you don't end up with so much red tape. Nobody ever wants to do anything that way again. And I think that's that sense of give them the context and help make sure they're aligned, but give them the latitude to move quickly. That
Right.
I think it's applicable across business and especially organizations doing a great job running BTP. Liz, are there any last thought around intentionality or around just helping folks get in and get started really, really well that you would want to leave folks with today?
Yes. There's two things I would want to leave you with today. The first one would be BTP has a lot of depth to it. It's heavy in a good way. There's a lot in there. And that's what makes me so passionate about it and staying working on it for as long as I have and probably as I will in the future. You can do a lot. So most of you are coming here with a purpose, whether it be integration, keeping your core clean, automating, it doesn't matter. But once you're done, I would encourage you all to go to the Discovery Center and explore what else can you do, because it's not a singular purpose. It's a platform that does a lot. So that's step one. And step two, SAP has been around for a long time. 55 years maybe we're on. What makes me so excited about that is that we've brought all of the lessons learned over those past decades and we've packaged it where we can in the cloud into prepackaged content or accelerators to help you get going. And not just us, but we have an incredible partner ecosystem that help us fill the white gaps. You guys are coming in and looking at what we offer and saying, I can do something with that, and then packaging it up. So I would encourage everyone who's listening to this to see what we have available. We're making it easier for you. Like truly we are. Run faster with us and leverage the prepackaged stuff that we have wherever you can. Even if we get you 30% faster, it's something. And I think you should.
Time to value, then that matters. Speed
and then you
matters.
can come back and buy more.
The opportunity cost is ticking. You're paying because you're not moving fast enough to seize the opportunity.
And we have it. And we have the resources to help you get started if you don't know where to find it. Because for SAP, we have a lot of information. So
that's amazing. Liz, thank you so much for joining. This has been another edition of the Never Ending Climb for stronger procurement and supply chain companies running SAP. Thanks again. See you next week.
Thanks, Sean.